For years, Last Man Standing was the show that brought families together every Friday night. The laughs, the characters, the stories, everything about it felt like home. But then, everything changed. One by one, the beloved main cast members started to leave, and the replacements just didn't have the same magic. Viewers were left wondering, why did their favorite characters disappear? Was it creative differences, career changes, or something deeper? The true story is far more surprising than anyone could have anticipated. Let's dive into it. After a long hiatus from television, Tim Allen made a triumphant return in 2011 with Last Man Standing. It wasn't an easy decision for the actor, who had already turned down lucrative offers, including one from CBS that promised him a staggering $1 million per episode. But Last Man Standing was different. Its creator, Jack Burdett, envisioned Mike Baxter as a fresh take, an older, wiser version of Tim's beloved character, Tim the Toolman Taylor. At first, Allen resisted. He thought the role was too similar to his previous persona, and in fact, he turned it down 3 times. What ultimately changed his mind? A deal that offered him not just the lead role, but also executive producer status. This arrangement gave Allen significant creative control over the direction of the show, a move that would later prove crucial as the series tackled politically charged topics. ABC had big plans for Last Man Standing. They aimed to reinvent the family sitcom genre, hoping to craft a modern version of All in the Family. The concept was bold, a conservative main character whose views would be constantly challenged by his liberal family. To ensure the show's success, ABC placed it in the notoriously difficult Friday night time slot, betting that Tim Allen's popularity would draw in viewers. It worked, spectacularly. When Last Man Standing premiered in October 2011, 13.2 million people tuned in, making it ABC's biggest comedy debut since 2014. Even in its first season, the show dominated its time slot, attracting a particularly strong following among viewers aged 18 to 49. This was a huge win for a Friday night show, as the time slot is historically a tough one to succeed in. Over 6 seasons, Last Man Standing continued to hold steady, averaging over 8 million viewers per episode. So, when ABC shockingly announced the cancellation of the show in 2017, it left many fans bewildered. Even more baffling was the departure of key cast members. The first significant departure came with Alexandra Krosny, who portrayed Kristen Baxter, Mike Baxter's eldest daughter. Kristen, a young single mom who had her son Boyd at just 17, quickly became a fan favorite. Her character, a waitress who lived with her parents while juggling the chaos of motherhood, was relatable and full of heart. Krosny's mix of sass and sincerity resonated with viewers, and her quick-witted exchanges with Tim Allen's character were highlights of the show. But then, something unexpected happened. After season 1, ABC announced that Krosny would not be returning for the next season. The official line was creative differences, but the truth behind her departure was far more complicated. The shift in Last Man Standing's direction continued with a major change in Kristen Baxter's storyline. Initially, Kristen was portrayed as a young, struggling mom trying to balance her life, but the producers decided to take her character in a different direction. They wanted her to appear older and more experienced, believing this would add fresh dynamics to the show and provide new ways for her to challenge Mike Baxter on political and social issues. As a result, they recast Kristen with Amanda Fuller, who was older than both Alexandra Krosny and Molly Ephraim, the actress who played the middle sister, Mandy. This change wasn't just about age. The producers felt that since Krosny, who played the eldest sister Kristen, was actually younger than Ephraim, it created a subtle dissonance. Fuller, being older than both Krosny and Ephraim, seemed like a better fit for the role of the more mature, older sibling. The recasting of Kristen marked a significant shift in the show's family dynamic, even though the decision to change her character was not without controversy. Meanwhile, In December 2011, Last Man Standing made a surprising move by casting pop star Nick Jonas for a special Christmas episode. Jonas played Ryan Vogelson, Kristen's ex-boyfriend and the father of her son. At the time, Jonas was only 19, and the character was portrayed as a nervous, immature young man who had run away from his responsibilities. This brief appearance was seen as a strategic move to grab attention and boost ratings. Ryan was depicted as a numbskull who had impregnated Kristen but was otherwise unremarkable, an underdeveloped character meant to add a bit of drama. However, the real shift came in Season 2 when Tim Doyle took over as showrunner. He wanted Ryan to be more than just a deadbeat dad, and he set out to transform him into a more complex, intelligent character capable of challenging Mike Baxter's conservative worldview. The plan was for Ryan to become a regular character who would have meaningful interactions with the Baxter family. By 2012, Jordan Masterson took over the role of Ryan. Known for his role in Greek, Masterson breathed new life into Ryan, giving him a maturity and intelligence that his previous incarnation lacked. Masterson's Ryan was now politically outspoken and willing to engage in deep, often heated discussions with Mike about topics like politics and values. This change elevated Ryan's character, making him a significant player in the show and providing the much-needed contrast to Mike's rigid conservative outlook. As the series progressed, Ryan's character continued to evolve. He went from a struggling, irresponsible father to running his own cannabis business called Best Buds in later seasons. This evolution sparked comedic moments as the show humorously explored how Ryan, now a successful businessman, unknowingly began to embrace capitalist ideals, a transformation Mike found both amusing and ironic. Then, in May 2017, the unthinkable happened. Fans of Last Man Standing were blindsided when ABC announced that the show would be canceled. This wasn't just any show, it was one of ABC's top-rated programs, regularly drawing in over 8 million viewers, and it had been a consistent performer on Friday nights. The sudden cancellation left fans and the cast in shock, especially since the show was still doing well in the ratings. The timing of the cancellation only fueled speculation. Just 2 months earlier, Tim Allen had appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live and made a controversial joke about being a conservative in Hollywood, comparing the experience to living in 1930s Germany. This comment sent shockwaves through the media, and many wondered if the network's decision to pull the plug on Last Man Standing had anything to do with Allen's outspoken political views. ABC's president, Channing Dungey, defended the cancellation, claiming that it wasn't politically motivated. She stated that the network wanted to stop airing comedies on Fridays and shift their focus to fantasy and sci-fi shows. However, to the fans and even the cast, it felt like a slap in the face. The show had consistently delivered strong ratings, and many felt the decision was unfair. The cast made no secret of their disappointment. Tim Allen took to Twitter to express how stunned and blindsided he felt by the cancellation. Nancy Travis, who played his TV wife, Vanessa, shared her heartbreak with fans and thanked them for their loyalty. Hector Elizondo, who played Mike's friend Ed, hinted in an interview that politics might have played a role in the network's decision. While the older cast members were still processing the news, younger actors like Molly Ephraim and Caitlin Dever had already started moving on to new projects. When Last Man Standing was abruptly canceled in 2017, the cast didn't expect the show to make a comeback. They quickly began seeking out new opportunities, assuming the show's run had come to an end. But the fans weren't ready to say goodbye. In an unexpected turn of events, they launched one of the most passionate Save the Show campaigns television had ever seen. Within a single day, a petition to bring the show back garnered over 400,000 signatures. Fans flooded Twitter, bombarding it with millions of tweets using the hashtag #SaveLastManStanding. The response was so overwhelming that some fans even took the symbolic step of sending toy tools to ABC's offices, referencing Tim Allen's iconic handyman character, while others went as far as paying for billboards in major cities like Los Angeles and New York, demanding that the network reverse its decision. Even politicians like Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker voiced their support, suggesting that the cancellation might have been politically motivated. Behind the scenes, the reasons for the cancellation were more complex. ABC had to pay $3 million per episode to air the show because it was produced by 20th Century Fox. On top of that, Tim Allen's hefty salary of over $200,000 per episode added to the costs. But after the cancellation, 20th Century Fox executives began shopping the show to other networks, including CMT and NBC. In a surprising twist, it was Fox itself that decided to pick up Last Man Standing a year later. On May 11th, 2018, Fox made the exciting announcement that they would be bringing the show back. The decision wasn't just a win for fans, it was a calculated risk for the network, which had seen the success of ABC's Roseanne revival and hoped to replicate that triumph. Fox invested a whopping $50 million to make the revival happen. In the days leading up to the announcement, Tim Allen hinted at the news on Twitter, teasing fans to keep it up, signaling that a deal was already in the works. Getting the show back on air wasn't a simple task. The timeline was incredibly tight. Fox announced the revival in May 2018, and the premiere was scheduled for September, leaving the production team just a few months to write, film, and prepare. The writers began working on scripts in June, and by August, filming began at the same studio as before. But there was a challenge. The original set had been dismantled after the show's cancellation, so they had to rebuild it from scratch to meet the rapidly approaching deadline. The crew filmed 3 episodes per week to stay on track, but production came to a halt when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, creating further delays. Despite these obstacles, Fox spared no expense in ensuring the revival stayed true to the quality fans expected. Each episode now cost $1.1 million to produce, up from $800,000 before. Tim Allen's salary also increased, with the actor earning $235,000 per episode, making him one of the highest-paid stars on television. To offset costs, Fox sold streaming rights to Hulu and CMT for $1.5 million per episode, and the production team streamlined operations, finding ways to save money such as cutting back on travel for location shoots. All the effort paid off when the show's first season on Fox premiered. With 8 million viewers tuning in, the revival made an impressive return, with the premiere episode alone bringing in solid ratings. Fans were clearly excited to have the Baxter family back on their screens. However, the challenges didn't end with the show's return. One of the most significant hurdles was casting. When Last Man Standing was canceled by ABC in 2017, Molly Ephraim, who played the character of Mandy Baxter, assumed the show was over for good and quickly moved on to other projects. By the time the show returned a year later, Molly had already committed to other roles in shows like Brockmire and Halt and Catchfire, making it impossible for her to reprise the role of Mandy. Instead of casting a look-alike, the producers decided to embrace the change and cast Molly McCook in the role of Mandy. McCook didn't resemble Ephraim physically, but the producers felt she could bring something new to the character. They even made jokes about the recasting on the show, acknowledging the difference rather than trying to hide it. When McCook first appeared as Mandy in Season 7, fans were upset. The hashtag #NotMyMandy began trending as viewers expressed their displeasure with the new actress in the role. However, McCook didn't let the backlash deter her. Instead of trying to mimic Ephraim's version of the character, she made Mandy her own. She focused on Mandy's love for fashion and her dream of becoming a designer, while also tackling more serious storylines, like her struggles with pregnancy and her relationship with Kyle. Over time, fans began to warm up to McCook's portrayal, especially after her emotional scenes with Tim Allen, whose character Mike Baxter was her father. By the end of the season, McCook had proven herself capable of bringing something fresh and special to Mandy, and the character's evolution became an essential part of the show's ongoing success. Molly Ephraim wasn't the only one who moved on after the show's initial cancellation. Caitlin Dever, who played Eve Baxter, also had a similar journey. After the first cancellation of Last Man Standing, Dever made a bold choice to focus on her film career, which led to her breakout role in Kathryn Bigelow's Detroit, 2017, a critical turning point that set the stage for her skyrocketing success. Within just 18 months, she landed major roles in Booksmart, 2019, where she starred alongside Beanie Feldstein, and in the Netflix miniseries Unbelievable, 2019. These projects propelled Dever into the limelight. Her role in Unbelievable was particularly significant, earning her Golden Globe and BAFTA nominations. Meanwhile, Booksmart was a smash hit, receiving glowing reviews and grossing $25 million at the box office. Her decision to pivot toward film turned out to be one of the best gambles of her career. But when Last Man Standing was revived, things became more complicated. Dever was no longer able to commit as a full-time cast member. As a result, her role transitioned from a series regular to a recurring guest star. In Season 7, she appeared in 7 episodes, but by Season 8, her appearances dwindled to just 2. The COVID-19 pandemic further complicated matters, with strict quarantine rules requiring 14 days of isolation for each in-person appearance. The show's production team had to carefully adjust their schedules around Dever's availability. This meant the writers often had to create entire episodes that could be filmed during her brief windows between her other projects. By the time the show entered its final season, Dever appeared in only 3 episodes, including the series finale. Her reduced role necessitated significant changes to the show's storylines. The writers chose to explain Eve Baxter's absence by sending her to the Air Force Academy, a creative decision that allowed her sporadic returns to carry more emotional weight. The shift also gave her character arc more depth, providing fans with a poignant farewell as Eve's story was woven into the show's final seasons. One standout episode, The Two Nieces of Eve, was specifically designed to fit her limited availability. The episode centered around Eve's relationship with her nieces, bringing several long-running storylines to a satisfying close and delivering a heartfelt moment with her character. Despite her busy schedule, Dever managed to juggle multiple high-profile projects between 2017 and 2021. She starred in Dopesick alongside Michael Keaton, took on a role in Dear Evan Hansen, 2021, and recently landed the part of Abby in HBO's The Last of Us Season 2. Her commitments were so demanding that Last Man Standing had to abandon plans for 2 of her episodes in Season 8 due to scheduling conflicts. Still, Dever remained loyal to the show that helped launch her career, making her sporadic appearances even more meaningful to fans. In May 2020, Fox announced that Last Man Standing would conclude with its 9th season. Despite its popularity, averaging 8.3 million viewers per episode and being Fox's second highest-rated comedy, the decision to end the show came as a surprise to many. Fans were especially taken aback because of the show's strong ratings and dedicated following. Producer Kevin Abbott shared that the team had already started planning for a potential 10th season, including a big idea to have Amanda Fuller's character, Kristen, take over the family business, renaming it Outdoor Woman. This new direction would have explored the evolving nature of the Baxter family business and introduced themes of generational change. The writers were also eager to bring back fan-favorite guest stars, like Jonathan Taylor Thomas and Richard Karn, for storylines that tied back to their earlier appearances on the show. These ideas promised to bring even more excitement to longtime fans. As the final season approached, Abbott revealed that Fox executives were keen on making it extra special. At first, Abbott was hesitant about adding a big event to the final season, feeling the show worked best when it focused on small, family-centered stories. But then, writer John Hauer pitched an idea that got everyone excited, bringing back Tim the Toolman Taylor from Home Improvement. This sparked lively discussions about how the two shows could be connected. For years, the Last Man Standing team had toyed with the idea of a crossover, even envisioning a shared universe that explained what happened to the Taylor family from Home Improvement. However, these plans were fraught with challenges, including complicated legal negotiations between multiple studios, making it difficult to pull off. Some exciting crossover ideas never made it past the planning stage, including a Tool Time reunion special within the Last Man Standing universe, bringing back the entire Home Improvement cast. Another idea was to have Mike Baxter discovering. The idea of bringing Tim Taylor into Last Man Standing was a bold one, and it wasn't without its hurdles. The writers conceived a fun storyline where Tim Baxter was revealed to be distantly related to Tim Taylor, sparking a comedic exploration of their intertwined family trees. The initial plan even included a Christmas special that would unite the cast members from both Home Improvement and Last Man Standing, offering fans an unforgettable crossover event. However, these plans were quickly derailed by scheduling conflicts and, more importantly, legal rights issues, which made it impossible to move forward with the initial idea. When the decision was finally made to bring Tim Taylor into the fold, the path wasn't any easier. Since Disney owned the rights to Home Improvement, the show's team had to navigate a series of back-and-forth negotiations just to get approval for the crossover. In fact, Abbott revealed that the crossover wasn't officially cleared until the day before the script reading. Talk about a last-minute scramble. At one point, Abbott even threatened to move forward with the storyline without Disney's permission, just to ensure that the fans would get the crossover they were eagerly anticipating. Tim Allen, who portrayed both Mike Baxter and Tim Taylor, had his own set of conditions for the crossover. He was determined that Tim Taylor's character would be treated with the respect it deserved, and that there would be a valid and meaningful reason for his appearance in Colorado. This led to the writing team reworking the episode 3 times to make sure it satisfied everyone, including the original Home Improvement creators who had to sign off on the final script. To prepare for the crossover, Tim Allen took things a step further. He rewatched episodes of Home Improvement to ensure that he could seamlessly step back into the shoes of Tim Taylor. He wanted to make sure that both characters, Mike Baxter and Tim Taylor, felt distinct and true to their respective personas. It wasn't just about slipping back into a role. It was about giving fans a true moment of nostalgia while staying authentic to the Last Man Standing world. When the crossover episode finally aired, it included subtle nods to Home Improvement fans would love, references to Wilson, Tim's elusive neighbor, as well as familiar Tool Time elements. And in true Home Improvement fashion, the episode even explained what happened to Tim Taylor after the original series ended, filling in the gaps of his character's journey. The moment was a masterstroke, bringing together two beloved shows and offering fans the perfect blend of old and new. It quickly became one of the most memorable moments of Last Man Standing's final season, providing an emotional and humorous send-off to a character who had left a lasting impact on television for decades. The crossover wasn't just a nostalgic throwback, it was a celebration of the legacy of both shows. A rare moment of connection that thrilled fans and tied together the careers of two of TV's most enduring characters.